Bunch of cheaters. I don't suck, you suck.
Mute. I'm on mute. Okay, let's start that over. Okay, here we go. Starting over. Yeah, I know. I'm on mute. What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR 365. What is going on? Today is July 8th. It is Monday. It is 7:31 p.m. And this is what we call late night hype. Yeah, this is where we do these late night shows because Monday through Wednesday, well, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm working like a full 8-hour day. I get home kind of late. It's time for probably dinner or something, and so it just kind of screws it up. So 7:30 p.m. Pacific time is when I can actually get around to doing these shows, when I am working Monday through Wednesday. Thursdays and Fridays might be able to do like 3 p.m., 4 p.m., stuff like that. So we'll just have to see and play it by ear. Okay, so on today's program, I got to tell you that I have not really been looking at news, and I haven't really updated any news stories. It's pretty much been Valve Index for me, and so I will kind of talk about my experience with the Valve Index so far, my initial take on the Valve Index at this point, and then when we run out of that, we can, of course, bounce over to the various websites. We can check some of the subreddits and see if there's any major news that's popping off or anything like that. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Valve Index. Let me go ahead and lower this trailer. Actually, you know what? I'm going to throw on a different video. This is a video of Shadow Legend VR that I was playing with the Valve Index. I tried to actually make a little Valve Index like Let's Play video, but the sound didn't work out right. So it didn't have the game sound at all. It just had like my voice and stuff, but I'll just leave that in the background. So anyway, let me go ahead and break down the Valve Index situation and what happened for me. So basically, I actually got the Valve Index. On Saturday, in the evening on Saturday. So relatively late on Saturday. And I didn't even bother trying to set anything up on Saturday evening. And the problem is that I had all this stuff scattered throughout this room. I was cleaning up that back corner that's over there that you guys can't see. And there was a bunch of crap that was over there. And I basically pulled everything out of there. And I had it scattered all over here. And I was going through all this stuff and basically deciding, like, what am I just going to donate, get rid of, just get rid of this stuff. I don't need to hold on to it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was thinking about that. I mean, I had this whole area just filled with stuff, and I wasn't going to do the Valve Index on Saturday night. Okay, then Sunday, I had, of course, obviously the VR Roundtable episode in the morning, and then I had my Twitch stream as well. And so I decided to basically not worry about the Valve Index until my Twitch stream on Sunday was over. So it was brand new in the box. It's actually, you can't see the box, but let's see if I move this a little bit. See the Valve Index box? It's stacked right on top of the HTC Vive box. And the interesting thing about that is they're basically the exact same size. Like, those two boxes are damn near identical, So even though Valve kind of wants to get away from HTC, it seems the more they try to get away from them, the more it stays the same. Okay, not exactly. But yeah, so I had my Valve Index box factory sealed, didn't touch it. I waited until after my there wasn't enough time Saturday night. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it on Saturday night. So I waited until Sunday. And so on Sunday, I opened up my box, unraveled everything, and man, let's talk about that for just a second. There is a lot of stuff in the box. Now, ultimately, it all works out. It makes sense. You start seeing all the different pieces and you're like, oh, okay, this slides into there. It's part of the power adapter for the lighthouse. You know, this goes here, this goes there. And it wasn't all that hard. So I was able to pretty much get all the little bits and baubles together and situated. And then the lighthouses, this was the most beautiful aspect of the whole thing. And I am absolutely blessed in a major way to have still had my existing lighthouse brackets pre-mounted in exactly the spots that they pretty much need to be to have a perfect area out here that's going to cover me. And so I have one lighthouse, you probably cannot see it, but I have one lighthouse that is up there. There's a little green light on it, but I don't know if that would even show up on camera. And then there's another lighthouse over there. And the beautiful thing about it is all I had to do was grab this little step ladder, take the lighthouse up there, you know, twist it around, get it locked in, dial the little thing on the back of it, plug the power plug into it, bada boom, bada bing. Really, the most time I spent, like I had them up there very quickly, and it was just a matter of like dialing in so that they're like angled towards the center of the play space and they're like angled down enough and they're not angled too high up or whatever. That was really actually the biggest issue in doing the lighthouses, but that wasn't really an issue at all. That was very easy. I was able to deal with that, and I dialed that in. Everything worked out great. Okay, so I got the lighthouses all hooked up, and then hooking up the actual valve index itself, I hooked that up to the computer. I've got DisplayPort coming right out the back of my 1080 Ti. I've got open USB slots. I kind of got rid of some of the Oculus Rift CV1 stuff out of there just to kind of get rid of some of the confusion of so many wires that were going in there. And so went ahead and plugged everything in. Went through the process. Oh, really the only little process I had. Let me grab the two controllers. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, one little problem that I had. So on the controllers here, I want to talk about the controllers as well, but basically one of the little issues that I had with these controllers is that when you're first hooking up your valve index, your valve index headset and the two controllers, the firmware is old. And so it wants you to update the firmware. And for these controllers, there's a little cable, like the little charging cable that comes with it, and you're just supposed to hook it up to your computer. And then it's supposed to update the firmware of the controller. And so the first controller, I connected it, bam, it did the update, everything was great. Second controller, I spent a long time, like I had to do it over and over and over again. I had to like close out and do blah, blah, blah. Finally, the firmware took on the second controller. But that was a little bit of a delay. But basically, in terms of actual setup, like all the actual setup actually worked out really good. So I was in the valve index pretty darn quickly. Before I talk about like my experience of like putting the headset on for the very first time, the controllers, so I'm holding these controllers right now, and they're pretty nice. They feel pretty good. I don't have like in terms of like where the buttons are located and stuff. I've played in a number of games so far. Let's see, the very first game I tried was this game right here, Shadow Legend VR. And that part right there that is on the screen right now, where I'm shooting those spell fireball things at that skeleton guy, that looked really good in the Valve Index. I'm going to be talking about the biggest positives and the biggest negatives that I've experienced with the Valve Index. And one of the biggest positives, I'm going to go ahead and do a spoiler on one of the biggest positives is color vibrancy. Color vibrancy, man. Colors are popping on the Valve Index. I'm amazed at how much the colors pop on the Valve Index. That's actually one of its biggest strengths. It's absolutely, definitely one of its biggest strengths. If you have something on the screen that is kind of like exploding in color, it is really vibrant. It really pops. Really like it. Yeah, 2700X Ryzen and a 1080 Ti. is basically the PC, and 16 megs of RAM, and it's pretty updated SSDs and all that. So it doesn't have any really old components. So everything is pretty modern and up to date. So anyways, what was I talking about here? Oh, in terms of these controllers though, yeah, so moving around the world felt pretty good. And like the buttons are, I didn't really have too many problems with the different buttons in terms of reaching them or anything. But all of this, the thing that I got to say in the very beginning is obviously my opinions are going to change. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. I might be negative on the Valve Index right now. I might be hyped on it tomorrow. I might be negative on it a couple of days from now. I might be hyped on it a week from now. I'm going to need to have this thing in my house. I'm going to need to play this thing for like a month. I'm going to need to play this thing for like a month and try. Like, I'm not worried about like trying to sell it right away or something, or worried about some kind of return policy. So I'm not even going to think about that. But the controllers, I don't know, they feel kind of cheap to me. I mean, these controllers, like, isn't it like $300 and something for the pair of the controllers? Just the actual plastic itself. I don't know. I guess, opinions will change as we move along. But anyway, those are the controllers. And so why don't I go ahead, I'm going to set these babies down. Set those babies down, and let's see. I did have a list of positives and negatives. So why don't I go ahead and talk about that first? Okay, so let's see. Number one, why don't I go ahead and just talk about I'll go through the biggest negatives and the biggest positives, and we'll go through them in order. Okay, so let's start out with the bad news first. Let's get some bad news out of the way. Number one, the biggest negative, and oh my goodness, this is a freaking major negative. We knew this was the Achilles heel of the Valve Index. At least we've known it since everybody's gotten their hands on it. This is the Achilles heel, and the Achilles heel is glare. It is bad. It is really, really bad. I gotta tell you, I was surprised. I thought the glare would be a bit annoying. I didn't expect it to be this annoying. Now, I do have some good news about the glare, which I'll get to a little bit later. But initially, I was like, whoa, this glare is some real stuff right here. This glare is a real problem, man. And so, Arrowin X, right? A buddy of mine from the early days of VR, we were friends from the Vive subreddit, and we just kind of like were Steam buddies, and we would get into conversations always about like upcoming VR headsets and technology and what the best games and all that stuff, right? Well, he recently got a Valve Index, had it for basically half of a day, and decided to immediately eBay the thing. And he basically was like, nope, this isn't going to work. The glare is out of control. No freaking way. It's got to go. And when he first told me that, I was thinking in the back of my head, I was like, man, he's overreacting. He's overreacting. That is a major overreaction to get a Valve Index, play it for half of a day, and be like, oh, hell no, this thing has got to go. I was shocked by what he had said to me in terms of like the glare, and he's like, nah, I got to eBay this. I can't do this. $1,000 for this glare, it's not happening. That's basically what Arrowin X was saying. Now, a big part of that was Skyrim. Skyrim is his bread and butter, and the glare was very bad in Skyrim. And so, if that's his bread and butter, if that's what he plays all day long, you don't want to have a headset that is not Skyrim friendly. And so maybe the Valve Index, not very Skyrim friendly, at least for Arrowin X. He's running all these different mods and stuff, and some of those mods might accentuate, or some of those mods might make the glare just that much more noticeable. I don't know, possibly. It's a possibility, right? But when he was talking about that, I was like, oh my God, dude is off his rocker. There's no way the glare could be this bad. And talking, we're still on the biggest negative here. It is glare. And I just want to say, like, I understand why he went that freaking harsh with it and was like, F it, this thing has got to go. I understand because, dude, the glare is real. The glare is absolutely real. So that is the Achilles heel. There is no question about it. And that's absolutely the biggest negative. No question about it. And I'm sure, like I said, my opinions are going to change and they're going to morph over time. But I can't see them morphing that much in terms of the glare. Now, the one good aspect of something like glare, I do imagine that if I were to use the Valve Index every day for hours every day, after a couple of weeks, I'll probably ignore the glare and I'll just be used to the glare and I'll ignore it and it's not going to be a big deal. But glare, absolutely, without question, the number one negative. Okay, the number one positive, and this is something that's kind of a known commodity by everybody out there. And I mean, none of this stuff is new. I mean, you guys have heard all these impressions for weeks. I am so freaking late to the party, but I just got to say what, my personal thoughts were, right? Okay, so the number one positive, and I was amazed by this. I'm still amazed by how good this is. Oh my God, it is incredible. It is the audio. The audio of the Valve Index. This is the way forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please, all future headset manufacturers across the world, please, for the love of God, rip off exactly what they're doing here with the audio. I'm going to grab the headset. Okay. So hold on. Let me get this situated. All right. So here is my Valve Index right here. And I got to tell you, man, these speakers are absolutely incredible. I was totally amazed. Just blew me away. Incredible. The sound quality, amazing. And I had to keep turning it down over and over again. So I played a number of games so far on the Valve Index. I played Shadow Legend VR was the first game I played. Gorn was the second game I played. I played Primordian. And I've also played Jet Island. And man, all of these games, incredible. Like the sound quality, unbelievable. I'm like thinking, like, I don't know, dude, just a great job. Such a great job. Oh my God, they hit a friggin' home run. So if every headset going forward had this quality sound, then that's one aspect that is just done. It's in the books. I don't know what it's costing them though. For them to have this kind of audio on this headset, I wonder how much of a cost it adds to the actual headset itself. But goddamn, everybody needs to copy this like a mofo. Figure it out. I don't give a damn if they've got a patent on it. You can copy it, and there's not a patent on having a freaking floating speaker. There can't be a patent just to have a freaking floating speaker. That can't be illegal. So everybody copy this and do it. Ooh, I still got this thing on. Oh man, that's my front faceplate. I never took this off of it. Maybe I should leave that on there. But anyways, yeah, the speaker's incredible, unbelievable job. Absolutely the number one best thing about this baby. I'm going to go ahead and put the puppy back now. Okay, it's getting hot in here. I've got to kick on the fan. Put it on the lowest setting there. Okay, so absolutely, speakers, incredible. Sound, absolutely the number one positive. And again, if there's one takeaway that any other manufacturer should take away from the Valve Index, Sony, Oculus, Samsung, anybody, if you're going to have a premium VR headset, please, for the love of God, copy what Valve is doing here with the sound. Okay, so that's great. Okay, the second biggest negative, this one is surprising to me. Now, this is the very first thing I noticed. Okay, let me go ahead and change this video just because this has been playing forever. I'm sure people are sick of me walking around in my flip-flops. Let me go ahead and change the video here. Just a sec. Okay, so what I'll do real quick is I'll tell you guys, when I first put the headset on, like the first thing that jumped out at me, the very first thing, the absolute first thing, I put the headset on. I'm in the Steam VR home area, right? You know, just the Steam VR home area. I put the headset on and I'm like, boom! I'm like, oh my God, screen door. Screen door. What is up with the screen door effect? There's a weird, I don't know what it is. There's a weird screen door effect with the Valve Index from a standpoint where it's hard for me to explain because it's not the kind of screen door that I'm used to with a lot of other headsets. I probably should play something like, there's certain games that really show off the screen door very well, and I should probably play some of those games and try to kind of do a comparison and think about the screen door. But there's a weird thing that is going on with the screen door of the Valve Index where it's like, boom, it's like, whoa, that screen door is very obvious. It's very aggressive. Maybe it's not even screen door. Maybe I'm like confusing it for screen door, but it's like in your entire FOV, it's like there's this area where like I feel like I can really see screen door, but it depends on like the background, you know, it depends on like the background you're looking at. And then sometimes, yeah, the very first thing I saw was screen door, straight up, main fan. But the thing is, it's not the kind of screen door where like, let's say you see a big wall that is all a certain kind of a color, right? And you see screen door on that wall. Now, if you get closer to that wall, you'll still kind of see the screen door, but with the Valve Index, it seems like when I get closer, then the screen door disappears. But from certain distances, it's like when you're looking at something that's like 15 feet away and you got like a flat area, you got an area where you can, I see screen door, man. I don't know what it is. But I see it, and that was the absolute first thing that hit me was the screen door. I was like, what? Not that many people are talking about screen door, so maybe what I'm thinking is, maybe what I'm seeing, this effect that I'm seeing, maybe it's not screen door, but that's the only way I can explain it. But I got to do more testing on that. But that was the very first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed, now this is to go back to the, let's go to positive, and my second positive is clarity, like a general overall clarity. That is, besides the sound, I mean, the sound is the best thing the Valve Index has, period. That's the shining star. But I'm sure people want to have, okay, what about the actual visuals? You know, is there a shining star of the visuals? And the shining star of the visuals is just a generalized clarity of your image. There's a clarity, there's a crispness, there's a dialed in, it's clean, it's clear, it's defined, it's sharp. You know, there's a good clarity about the picture. And that was the second thing I immediately noticed. First thing was like, holy shit, screen door. Second thing was like, whoa, but look at the clarity. That was like the absolute first things that just jumped out at me. And then the third thing is the field of view. And it was the verticality of the field of view. I was like, okay, yeah, the field of view, definitely extra vertical field of view. And but the one thing I'll say on the field of view, like one of the downsides of the field of view is like on the horizontal aspect of the field of view. See, a lot of people have made the argument that if you take an original HTC Vive, I've made this argument a million times, right? You use like a 2mm, 3mm, like super thin face gasket on the OG Vive, you get your eyeballs all up in there, you are getting way more field of view. It's the best hack ever possible with the original Vive. It's not really a hack, it's just a secret, a pro tip. And it's a night and day difference. It really is. I've raved about this a million times. There's old videos from like 3 years ago of me talking about this. I've been talking about it for the longest time. It is a game changer for the people that had the original Vive. If you could survive with it, because it does hurt your cheekbones after a while. But what I will say though is like the vertical FOV, I mean the horizontal FOV on the Valve Index, compared to doing that with the original Vive, It's a little bit better. It is a little bit better, but it's not this big. But the vertical FOV is there. The vertical FOV is there. And then the good news is, although the horizontal FOV isn't that much of a difference over doing that trick with the original Vive, the difference is when you did that with the original Vive, the concentric circles, you would really, really notice those concentric Fresnel lens circles, that go around the outside. You really notice that in the original Vive when you got your eyeballs like millimeters away from the screen. And the good news is with the Valve Index, you don't see those rings. So that is a bonus. So I give it the bonus with that. And the FOV, like when you have the headset on, I feel like the FOV, like it definitely does not feel like a scuba mask as much as it, it's not that tunnel vision that it used to be. It feels like when you put it on, like it's like the screen is occupying every little bit of the real estate. And so I do think they did a good job there. Like I feel like the FOV is probably about as good as you're going to get it in a relatively compact headset like this. Okay, so we've talked about the sound, the clarity, the FOV. Okay, so on the negatives, I've talked about glare and screen door. The next negative I would go to is the controllers. So one of the complaints I have, and a lot of this is on me because I'm not looking for controller bindings. I'm not even going into the options and trying to find anything. I'm simply trying to pretend that everything is just going to work. Like I'm pretending everything is just going to work. I go into these different games and I hope that it will just work. I'm not going into the options trying to find specific Valve Index controller bindings. Maybe I should, maybe there's something I have to do outside of the game or something or whatever. I haven't done any of that. So I've just fired up these games and just tried to play them. And so every game I've played, let's see, what did I play? I played Shadow Legend VR, I played Gorn, I played Primordian, and I played Jet Island. Every single game, I had controller problems from the standpoint that for example, what was it? The first one, Shadow Legend VR, like I wasn't able to cycle through my weapons. Like I was just kind of like certain things that I wanted to do, like the buttons weren't doing it or like because of the grip thing, I don't know. Just controller issues, man, with the games. Every single game that I've played has had some little problem with the controller. Again, this is on me. There's probably some special controller bindings. I can probably change this or that. But I kind of just wanted to think, I'm just going to go into a game and just play it and everything should just work, right? It should just work. No, that's not the case. So the controllers are an irritant, starting to piss me off. So I would say that is my third negative on the Valve Index. Okay, so let me pause for a second. And I have not been talking about chat, and there's a lot of chatters that are chatting it up. So let me see. Let me read some chat messages. Sorry to not be reading, guys. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so Main Fan says, I didn't notice extra vertical FOV because I'm used to Vive. I noticed more horizontal FOV. Really? Because Vive, maybe Vive does have more of that vertical FOV, so maybe it's not as big of a difference. Like because I've primarily been using a CV1 for a very long time. But I don't know. I thought the vertical FOV was very immediate, in my opinion. Let's see. I am an everyday gamer. Says some games don't work, like Moss and Journey of the Gods don't work at all. And let's see. Andy Sky says, after trying 150 and 170 FOV option on Pimax 5K, horizontal is much more important than vertical FOV. Yeah, horizontal, I can, even without trying those, I could see why horizontal would be more immersive. Vertical's good, though. It's good that we have vertical. And one of these 4 games that I played looked freaking incredible. One of the 4 games that I played looked absolutely incredible, and a big part of it was the vertical. Oh my God, it looks so good. I'm going to be talking about it in just a minute, so I don't want to spoil it, but one of the 4 games I played was freaking unreal. PPOLIH21 says, I can only see screen door effect with blacks only on the index. Hussein X, how does screen door effect compare to Rift S? I thought they'd be similar. Well, the problem with the Rift S for me is I only tried it that one time at GDC. I don't have a Rift S. I'd like to try a Rift S for an extended period of time, but I haven't had the opportunity to do that. The index screen door effect shocked me. It shocked me, but it's not... But I gotta wait on that. I gotta wait on that because I gotta know exactly what I'm seeing here, because maybe it's not exactly screen door effect. It might be something different, but I don't know. We'll have to. I'll continue to understand that as we continue to move on. But that was so weird to me. Okay, so anyways, let's look at some other comments here. So Lethal Weasel VR. So he's guessing Primordian. Actually, we'll be talking about that. Onakazi says, I know that Jet Island had updated recently for index support since I picked it up in the sale and would have thought that would have worked with minimal effort. Let's see. And yeah, Bill B says, if this is for the high-end price, for the high end, and price and mass adoption aren't issues, why wouldn't they go reverb resolution? And Slayblaze says, yes, I'm enjoying at VR365 take on the index. This is good. I'm enjoying your take on it. That's Frank Zappa. Okay, so anyways, let's go ahead and continue. Unreal. Yeah, our Gambo, Unreal. Unreal VR would be incredible. Dude, I love Unreal. I love the original Unreal, the actual single-player Unreal. Love that game. Okay, so where was I? So I was talking about the third biggest negative, which for me right now, it's just controllers not working in games. Part of this might be my issue. We'll figure that out. Okay, now the third best thing about the Valve Index, which I think is better than the vertical FOV and better than the horizontal FOV, the third best thing, see, number 1 for me was the sound, incredible sound. Number 2, the overall clarity. The clarity is great. Okay, here's number 3, and this one surprised the daylights out of me. Number 3 is the vibrancy of the colors. The colors, man. The colors freaking pop off the screen on this baby. Like, I thought LCD was supposed to have like washed out, muted colors that don't pop. You know, OLED is supposed to be colors that pop, right? OLED is supposed to be way better colors, and you're supposed to take a major hit when you go to LCD. But for me, man, everything I'm seeing in the Valve Index, like the colors are just like, bam, like the colors are exploding on the screen for me. Every game I've played so far. So the first game I played, Shadow Legend VR, color looked really good. Just the clarity, everything was really dialed in. That looked great. Gorn, very colorful, very bright, very vibrant. And like the yellows and the oranges and the reds and stuff, you know, the colors really pop. Primordian, actually Primordian was probably the best one in terms of just when I was playing Primordian, there were different colors that were like flashes of stuff that was happening. Oh dude, Primordian, let me tell you, like Primordian is such a great game to just play the opening sequence of Primordian. Like the first 20 minutes of Primordian. It's like comfort food, you know? It's like cozying up on a rainy day with a blanket and you're right by a big ass window and it's raining and you got a cup of coffee and maybe you're eating a fine pastry and it's comfort food, dude. Primordian, the opening stage, the beginning of Primordian, it is just awe-inspiring. And the sound, oh my God. That's where I was so amazed by the Valve Index. I was like, God, this sound is ridiculous. These speakers are ridiculous. This is incredible. I was tickled by how good the sound was with Primordian. Oh my God. But the colors, vibrancy of the colors, really good, really incredible. A surprising bonus. Like, I was not expecting that in the least because it's LCD, right? Okay, now to go back to the negatives. Okay, so number 4, well, actually, I'm pretty much done with negatives, really, in terms of like the major negatives. But one of the things that I added onto this list is I got to talk about, and these are like first initial impressions. I've barely freaking played this thing. I've hardly done anything. I've only seen a couple of games. I haven't tried any of like the advanced 144 hertz. I'm just like vanilla, regular, normal stuff. I'm not doing anything special. So opinions are going to evolve as I continue to go through. But I don't want to rush myself. I'm not going to rush to do every little thing. I'm going to take my time with the Valve Index. I'm going to just enjoy it. I'm going to try to use it as much as I can and just kind of get a feel for it over these next days. And I'm not going to worry about rushing into this or rushing into that. So I'm just not going to worry about that. But let's see, where did I want to go? So, well, the thing I got to say is, so I've got Patreon supporters. I've got PayPal donators. And that has been awesome. And I'll tell you what, like the Patreon support that I've had and PayPal donations over, I don't know how many months, like when I started this up, what was it, like February or something is when I maybe started that up. So all of those months of like Patreon support and PayPal donations, that money has pulled in, and I was able to buy the Valve Index and basically no out-of-pocket money from my own private money. You know, so basically you guys, my PayPal supporters and my Patreon donators, or vice versa, whatever, you guys basically bought my Valve Index. So, but what I got to say is if I was just a regular average guy that was just a VR guy, a gamer, a PC gamer, and not a wealthy PC gamer, like a guy that kind of pinches his pennies and like I'm not buying every freaking state-of-the-art video card that's coming along. I don't have the most incredible PC. You know, I don't have the 2080 Ti. You know, I'm not buying things willy-nilly. I would be making careful decisions. And so if I had no support from anybody, like if I was just a regular guy that never did podcasts, never did anything, and didn't know anything about this, I'm just a regular, normal gamer, I think I'd be pretty freaking pissed right now. Like, I love the clarity. There's definitely, the image is pretty freaking beautiful overall. I mean, just the clarity, like this is the best VR gaming image I've ever seen. But like the glare is a freaking Debbie Downer, man. The glare is like a wet blanket that gets thrown on top of this whole thing. Don't you guys wish that there was something called the Valve Index Plus, and it was like $500 more, but no glare? Complete elimination of glare. Do you know how many people would pay that extra $500 to just freaking get rid of glare altogether? A lot. A lot of people would pay that $500 extra for the Valve Index Plus non-glare edition. Unfortunately, the glare is a wet blanket, and I just got to say one of the negatives is this costs, like for me, the grand total for this thing was just under $1,100. I had to pay tax, so it was damn near $1,100, right? $1,100, that's a lot of money. You pay $1,100, you want a dream. You want a dream come true headset, in my opinion, because when there's headsets that you can get for $399, like the Rift S, which is such a high quality for the price, the value proposition of the Rift S is just so strong. And then you think about all the Windows mixed reality headsets that were selling for like $179, $189, and all those kinds of things. Then a $1,100 headset, that is an absolute premium headset. And you'd like to think that every little part of it would be premium. And a lot of it is. But the glare is absolutely a wet blanket. It is an absolute wet blanket. Okay, now here's the best thing about the Valve, here's another bright spot. Okay, because that sounded very negative, right? Here's the bright spot, guys. The bright spot is this. The game that I played that blew me the F away was Jet Island. Oh my God, dude, Jet Island looks so freaking drop dead gorgeous in the Valve Index. Jet Island should come free. with the Valve Index. Like, they should give that game away for free to everybody with a Valve Index, because Jet Island looks absolutely fantastic. And it's something about the vertical FOV. There's no glare anywhere to be found. See, that's the thing. There's certain games you just don't see the glare. And Jet Island is one of these games where there's no glare. That's why Jet Island looks freaking gorgeous. Jet Island looks freaking fantastic. And so it's going to be interesting, because there's going to be certain games where it's like, for whatever reason, this game engine, the lighting or whatever they're doing, the backgrounds, however they're doing it, it's not a glare. It just doesn't have glare. And Jet Island did not have glare. It looked beautiful, drop dead gorgeous, amazeballs. Now, Primordian, on the other side of the coin, I saw a lot of glare. Why? Because Primordian, you got a lot of dark areas. So you have dark areas, then you see the light, and then the glare is on like the bottom part of it. It's like, the glare starts, it's almost like it gets fogged up or something, it's got that glare that comes in. And I wonder if a big part of this whole thing too, a big part of this, guys, is, what if I never heard all these horror stories about glare? Like, what if I was somebody that like wasn't on the internet and shit, and I was just like, oh, Valve Index, this is probably going to be the elite headset, and I never heard anybody say anything about glare? I might have had a Valve Index on and been like, oh, everything's fine. Maybe I wouldn't have noticed, because that's the thing. You hear so many horror stories. Like, I didn't have a Valve Index. Everybody else had their Valve Index, so everybody else had their opinions of it. So I'm reading all these different opinions, and people are saying, the controllers are horrible in certain ways. They're amazing in other ways. This is a problem. That's a problem. This works great. That works great. And so you kind of go in, it's like a movie. It's like somebody tells you, oh, this movie is incredible, and you go see it and you have an expectation of it being super good, or somebody's like, oh, that movie was garbage. You end up seeing it and you're like, oh, that movie wasn't that bad because I was expecting it to be good. So, the expectations, right? So knowing about the whole glare thing, I wonder if that's why, like, bam, it's like, oh my God, the glare. So anyway, that is pretty much the wrap up. So where does that leave me, after all this information, Oh, and another thing I got to mention, guys, one other thing I got to mention before I bounce out of here is like just the whole Valve Index experience. I mean, I got to mention the fact that I couldn't play my Valve Index for like half of a day. Now, I didn't do a lot of fiddling to try to solve it, but it was an irritant, to be sure, because let me switch this trailer off, because I've been running this trailer for about 20 years. So let me just grab something else real quick. But yeah, I had some problems. With the Valve Index. Like the first time I used it, everything was perfectly fine. Everything was working great. And I was like, good, because I heard some of these horror stories people were having with Steam VR and having to refresh window. Like some people had like some crazy problems when, they were first trying to get their Valve Index to work, lots of issues. And so the first time I played it, it all worked great. And that was beautiful. Later that day, I went back to play it again, and I kept getting that one error message, headset not detected. I don't know if it's 208 or 408 or whatever the error message is. It's a popular one. Everybody knows about it. And like some people are like, yeah, you got to like uninstall Steam VR, reinstall it, do this, do that. And so what happened is I was plugging it into different display ports. I was trying to disconnect the little link cable thing, disconnect it, connect it, unplug the power adapter, plug it back in, plug the USB thing into different USBs, restart my computer, back out of Steam, log back on. I was doing all kinds of things, restarted my computer like 4 or 5 different times, tried a whole bunch of different plugs, was trying to reconnect things, direct mode, doing all the little troubleshooting things that they suggest that you did. I didn't delete Steam VR and re-download it. I was about to do that. Now, so I had that problem all last night, and I talked about it on my Discord. And Gary, when I was gone, Gary said that this problem has basically been solved, and what it really is it's the USB. So the USB connection, you gotta find a USB connection on the back of your PC that for whatever reason works. And so I was plugging it around, and I found a USB. It worked great. Hopefully it'll work great the next time I try it, but at least I got it working again, because I got scared for a second, man, because it was like a big stretch of the day, no valve index for me, and I was starting to get a little bit nervous about it. But I mean, it's working now, and yeah, okay, try different USB ports. We know about that. And I disconnected some of my Oculus Rift sensors because I thought, well, maybe they're overloading things, and I'm not going to use my Rift for probably a week at least. I'm just going to be on valve index. So let me go ahead and disconnect some of these USB sensors. So I did that as well. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe it was overloading it. But ultimately it got back and it was working. But I got to mention that, that's not, when are we going to be in a situation? It would be nice if we were to finally get into a situation where you install something on your computer, and as long as your computer doesn't have like a major like software corruption kind of a thing, shit's got to work pretty soon. You know what I mean? Things should work. We really shouldn't have to jump through as many hoops. Like when is this going to be ready for the wide open like it's not ready for prime time if you've got to like try every little USB port in the back of your PC like that. You shouldn't have to jump through these hoops. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a Steam software thing. No, dude, my USB power settings have been off for 1,000,000 years, because I knew about that back in the old CV1 days when people were talking about that. Okay, so that's basically everything I have to say about that's everything I have to say pretty much about my initial thoughts on the valve index so far. I'm going to try. Oh, what about the blacks? I didn't notice the black. So I was playing Primordian, and there's a lot of dark areas. Excuse me. Okay, so I was playing Primordian. There were a lot of dark areas in Primordian, and I didn't see like these like really grayish blacks. Like, I think the Oculus Go, for me, of all the headsets I've ever tried where I was like, those blacks are kind of gray, I would say was the Oculus Go. Like the Oculus Go, I think some of the games, the blacks are very grayish to me. And that's really the only time I've ever noticed that. And with the valve index, so far in playing it, I have not noticed. I haven't like saw the blacks and been like, this is really unfortunate. But I haven't maybe been in the right situation where I would notice that yet. So that's still up in the air. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on blacks. But why don't we go ahead and take a look at some of the chat and somewhat people are saying here. Okay, so J Puffy 91910 says Anthony can't get a Rift S because he is outside the IPD range. It will suck for him. Yeah, I've bounced back and forth with that. Yeah, so my IPD, the one thing I did do with my valve index before putting it on my head, I looked at the IPD, I looked at the lenses, I moved it all the way, it moved out, and I'm like, yep. There we go, all the way out to the full extent. And so, yeah, my IPD is like 70, 71, 70 is basically where my IPD is. 70 and 71. And, yeah, I don't know, because I've heard different stories about the Rift S, because I've heard some people that have 70 IPDs, and they're like, I've got a 70 IPD, and the Rift S is perfectly fine. And the other thing I'll tell you is when I was at GDC and I used the Rift S, I did use a Rift S, I think maybe like 3 different times when I was there. I used it for about 10 minutes. I tried Stormland in it. I tried Dead and Buried in it. I think I played Dead and Buried in the Rift S 2 times, and I played Stormland 1 time. And my memory, like it didn't bother me. Like I was able to, it wasn't like, oh, this is horrible because my IPD is completely off or anything. So, but it could be one of these things where it would give me serious eye strain if I did it a lot, and if I played for long sessions. So if your IPD is out of whack, then typically what happens is your eye strain, you might get more fatigue, headaches, stuff like that. I mean, yeah, you're supposed to get blurriness, but I didn't notice blurriness. Lefty007 says try Hellblade, and TechnoGlitch666 says you should try Spider-Man. Now, my question is, are you guys saying I'm going to see a lot of glare or I'm going to see no glare? Oh, and Lefty007 says, yeah, and try some horror games. Yeah, so I'm going to take my time, man. Like, I haven't tried the 144 hertz stuff or the 120 hertz. That's something I want to try. But again, I'm not going to be in a rush to do all these things because it's been out for a while, so there's no need to rush. And I'm just going to kind of take my time, and I'm going to, see where I feel about the Valve Index. Like right now, ultimately, I mean, if somebody called me up, like a good friend of mine, and they're like, dude, you've had your Valve Index now for a full day. What should I do? Should I buy it or should I not do it? What should I do? And I would be, God, it'd be a very hard thing for me to reconcile because like the Rift S, like if that was something that guy could go for, I mean, the simplicity of the Rift S, it was such a trivial thing for me because I had my brackets already mounted. I didn't have to do any kind of calculations to figure out, if it was going to be in the right spot. I already had things figured out and dialed in. And so somebody that could get a Rift S, they don't got to worry about that. Everything is built in. The controllers, like the Touch 2 controllers are pretty damn good. I still don't, like, I'm not too sure what to think about these controllers. I haven't really, it's too early to say, how I feel about these controllers. It is bothersome to me. It really is bothersome to me that Valve didn't, like, Valve should have had one employee that had no other job but to go into every popular VR game and try to just test the controllers out and try to create some kind of custom controller mapping Valve Index where they could like send it to the developer of the game and the developer could just patch it into the game, or maybe Valve could patch it in somehow. And this shouldn't be the problem that it is. Like, it should be, maybe it's just a tougher problem than I'm thinking it is, and maybe it's just a really hard problem, but like every single game I've gone into, so I don't know. It's going to take a while. I mean, my thoughts are everywhere right now. But I love those speakers. I love those speakers. I love the speakers. I love the clarity. And I love the vibrant colors. I really love the vibrant colors. So, I mean, there's positives. I love the vertical FOV. I love the fact that the entire FOV is just like, it's kind of, what it reminds me of from the FOV standpoint? It's like if you had a TV that had almost no bezel. And so when you're looking at the TV, there's almost no bezel. You're getting all TV. And I feel like kind of when I have the Valve Index on, it's like just all screen, it's just all screen, but it's more IMAX. It's more IMAX, like up and squarish, like a big square, but it's like all screen. And so there's not a lot of bezel. I like that. Colors are vibrant as hell, and Jet Island looks incredible. If you've got a Valve Index, play some Jet Island. Okay, Digit CT says, remap your controller, bro. Okay, yeah, I'll have to look at all your guys' comments in chat later because you guys probably have some really good comments about what some stuff I should do. And Lefty007 says he just set his at 120 hertz and he basically just leaves it there. Yeah, so, I mean, there's so many things I got to try. Chris says, I never cared about glare at all. Most YouTubers say they only see it in loading screens and almost never in gameplay. Okay, yeah, I've never been a glare guy. I've never been a glare guy in the past. People have always said a lot of stuff about glare, and I was never that guy. Sponge720 says, selling your Rift? I have no idea, man. Way too early in the game. Daily Driver, Sponge720 question, Daily Driver? Right now, it's better be the damn Daily Driver. It better be the Daily Driver. It's $1,100. It's got to be the Daily Driver. Lefty007 says, out of all the games, Jet Island? Really? Like Jet Island? What? No, but I'm telling you guys, Jet Island, there's no glare. That's why Jet Island is so beautiful. There's no glare. And because Jet Island, it's the vertical FOV, like maybe Jet Island takes advantage of vertical FOV more than like any other game. Because think about it, Jet Island, you're going way up these freaking mountains and shit. It's a vertical game. And Jet Island, yeah. Oh my God, Jet Island looks beautiful. Stuart Gregerson says, Anthony, have you tried any Sims or Elite? I'm not an Elite guy. I don't even have Elite. I mean, I could download Elite, but I don't know anything about Elite. I'm not going to get started on Elite. So far, I've only played 4 games: Shadow Legend VR, Gorn, Primordian, and Jet Island. You know what I want to do? So here's the thing. Like, when I get off from this podcast, which is about to end very soon, we're almost an hour in, so it's time for me to go. Toss the Quest out. Yeah, no, that's not happening. The Quest is over there. It is a beautiful baby. I love my Quest. I still love it very much. The Quest is not going anywhere. Stuart Greger says, Anthony, you are wasting a lot of time getting to the important questions. How clear is the prawn? I don't see prawn. I tried some. Like, when I think of prawn, I don't think of a wired headset. I think of a wireless headset, like the Oculus Quest or the Oculus Go. Those are the prawn machines. I don't do prawn with a wired headset. So I haven't even tried prawn. Don't know. Dart games suck in the index. Yeah, I mean, based on Primordian being a pretty dark game, I think maybe that's where you're going to notice a lot more glare, probably. Digit widget says, glare is awesome. People love diamonds. Yeah. Bling. Yeah. Let's just call it bling. We don't have to call it glare. We can call it bling. It's awesome. It's like sun reflections. Chris says, how can some people not see any glare and some people think it's bad enough to return it? I think it's, people notice different things. See, the glare comes from the bottom. I feel like the glare is on the bottom, and the glare is like, it's like, what it's like is like if you're inside your house and you got a big window in front of your house, and you know how like a car will drive by your house and then like a shadow or like a light thing will kind of like move by. It's almost like, it's like the glare is moving around and then it gets caught in the bottom and it goes, and then you see the glare and you're like, there's that annoying glare. Anthony is in the closet with Quest Prawn. Let's see. And of course, the IPD slider on my CV1 reported an incorrect number. That is Onakazi. And someone needs to make a video on mapping those controllers. You love your Space Pirate Trainer, so try that at 144 hertz. Yeah, I absolutely need to try Space Pirate Trainer at 144 hertz because that is the one that a lot of people have talked about. JPuffy91910 says, Anthony, if you get a chance, Anton updated his app for the Knuckles. It may be a good experience for you. Check this out. I've never, ever played Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades. Never played it. Unbelievable. Wait, is there a demo for it? Maybe I play the demo. If there's a demo for it, I might have played the demo. So would the demo have the update? Because maybe I could try that out. But anyway, guys, yeah. So, and then Tom Lloyd says, keep in mind, guys, Anthony doesn't play first-person shooters. Wish he loved standout VR like me. It's not so much that I don't ever play them. I'm just not very good at them. But I enjoyed Space Junkies. I really did enjoy Space Junkies. I'm just not very good at these games. I get killed pretty quickly. So anyways, what I'm going to say now, folks, is that this is just day one. I mean, the number of hours that I've had in the Valve Index is so tiny. So, like, this would be like when Gary got his Valve Index and he tried it. Remember that show that Gary came on here? And he was talking about, his initial impressions of the Valve Index, that show he came on for a half an hour. It was like, last Thursday or last Friday or whatever, we did a show on YouTube, VR365. Gary hopped on. He had barely had it. He barely had it for like a few hours the night before and a few hours the day of, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I have barely touched this thing. So right now it is 8:30, so I'm going to get out of here and get back in there. Let me try some other stuff out, but I'm not going to go into a rush for judgment. I don't feel like my opinions on the Valve Index are going to change by leaps and bounds like like just in a given day, but maybe I feel like after like a good week of it, I feel like I'll have a better grasp of it. But these are my initial thoughts. So that's pretty much it. But I really appreciate you guys coming in and checking out the live stream. Apologies for not hitting as much of the comments in chat. I kind of just wanted to get through all my thoughts on this. And apologies that I didn't have some more interesting trailers to throw on in the background and stuff like that. Comfort. Yeah, so I didn't talk about the comfort. The one thing I will say on comfort, not as comfortable as I was expecting, because everybody seemed like, oh, it's so comfortable. And so and that kind of goes back to expectations, right? And like somebody says, oh, it's the best movie ever, or it's the worst movie ever. And so then you go see the movie and you've got this expectation. And so the comfort, it's not uncomfortable. But it's not like, oh my God, this feels like a pillow. This feels like a pillow. Calgon, take me away. It's not necessarily that, but it's comfortable. It's not hurting me in any way, shape, or form. It feels pretty comfortable. All right, well, I'll talk more about this stuff tomorrow, guys, but I do have to get the heck out of Dodge so I can get back into the Valve Index and be able to tell you guys some more stuff about it. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this particular episode of VR 365. I will see everybody tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, we're going to be twitching it up. So we will be over on Twitch at 7:30 p.m. Tuesday evening. Hopefully, I'll actually have like news stories and stuff. It's been a while. I haven't been prepared for a show in quite some time. It would be nice to be prepared, and it would actually be nice to have some legit news stories. It's been a bit slow recently, but we'll still try to keep banging these shows out and talk about something. Worse comes to worse. All right, folks, I'll see everybody tomorrow on Twitch. Everybody have a wonderful, very late Monday evening or early Tuesday morning. See you guys next time. Later.